Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and this is your March of 2025 horror movie preview. Here's all the movies coming out this March, starting with, on Netflix, Chaos, The Manson Murders. I know what you're thinking, and I am too. For God's sakes, the last thing we need on this earth is another Charles Manson documentary, book, whatever. Not even Rob Zombie's reading them at this point, but this one is a little bit different. It's a documentary coming to Netflix, and it's based on a book that really delves into the theory that Manson was actually the CIA's fault, and they did a bunch of tests on him with psychotropic hallucinogens, like the Scarecrow did to Rachel. You know what? You know if you want to see this or not. It's either for you or it isn't. Also on March the 7th, in a limited release, we have The Fetus. Sounds like a Tom Green sequel. My bum is on your fetus. My bum is on your fetus. If I get lucky, I might touch your penis. This stars Lauren Rivera from the Terrifier franchise, and she was so amazing in that franchise. Anything she does moving forward, you have to pay attention to. This looks pretty low budget. They're hoping to get some people to watch the initial screenings and then hope to expand it, but those start on March the 7th. It also has Bill Moseley in it, and his baby is Scorpion get-overing people from her nether regions, and yeah, I hope the best for it. I really do. Next up, we have my pick of the month for possibly surprising, really good horror movie that nobody saw coming, and that is Bloat. This comes out on VOD, and it stars Ben McKenzie from the Gotham series. He played Commissioner Gordon in Gotham, and it's a desktop horror film, which I love those. I mean, they get me going. They really rev my engine, Ron. Films like Unfriended and Searching, and this is by the producers of those films. This is an army dude who is Zooming his wife and finds out that their son has almost drowned, something's wrong with him, and then when the son comes back, there's something totally off and wrong about him, and it involves an ancient mythical creature, the story of it, that really just doesn't get told in film, that they don't talk about the Kappa. If you look it up, it's a really fascinating story, and the trailer was really good as well. So Bloat is one that's definitely on my radar to check out, especially if you like desktop horror. I thought the trailer was great. Also on March the 7th, and this one's going to be a little bit easier for everybody to watch, I imagine, it's Night of the Zoopocalypse. This is an animated children's film, so it is definitely the definition of gateway horror, but what makes this a little bit fascinating, it's a zombie apocalypse in a zoo, so it's exactly what it sounds like. We bought a zoo. Why is this your dream? Because it's a good dream! This is from the mind of Clive Barker, though, which is surprising, and that really adds a layer of interest to it for sure. So that comes out, and now we've got The Wild, which is a limited release. This just looks like your typical A24 ripoff kind of. It's about a group of girls going to the woods, and they talk incessantly about their dead friend before a dude shows up and he's sketchy, but then someone goes crazy. Which one? I don't know. If you like the Outwaters and A24 films, then this could be for you. It's not for me, no. And finally, also on March the 7th, in a limited release, we have The Rule of Jenny Pin. This is a movie that's been shown at a couple festivals, and people seem to really enjoy it. The premise is awesome. Geoffrey Rush's character, who goes into an old folks home where crazy fucking potato sandwich John Lithgow is there playing with a baby doll on his hand and doing weird shit, and John Lithgow's character goes full on Orange County.
I will eat your face!
Just attacks this guy and messes with him and tortures him, and that is The Rule of Jenny Pin. It looks pretty damn cool to me. We've made it into the next week. I've been to the top of the mountain, and it is good. Control Freak comes out, and this is on Hulu. Hulu's kind of weird, man, with their horror movies. They kind of have a Goosebumps thing sort of going on there, where just every so often they'll just have an original movie that's like a creepy tale come out of sort of nowhere, and some of them are a little janky and weird, but some of them are actually pretty good. So this one's called Control Freak, and it stars Kelly Marie Tran and Miles Robbins, who was a really likable character from Halloween 2018 that got killed off too early, in my opinion. I like that guy. But you don't smoke weed around Michael Myers or Jason. You know the rules. Them's the rules. The IMDb plot synopsis for this is a motivational speaker is tormented by an unrelenting itch on the back of her head, but the trailer is so much more. There's this bug that you keep seeing around everywhere. Looks like a pretty wacky movie, could be a good time. Also on March the 13th, this one in theaters, should be a relatively wide release, I believe, is a movie called Opus. Jay and I watched the trailer for this in one of our movie news live streams, and wasn't the biggest fan of it. It seems a little too croissant-y for me. Feels like Almost Famous had sex with Midsommar in a weird way, but it does star John Malkovich, which is always dope. John Malkovich is a singer in this, and a journalist goes to cover his weird like hippie cult thing that he has going on, and weird A24 type shenanigans ensue. I do love that it stars Murray Bartlett, who was the hotel manager in season 1 of White Lotus. That guy's fucking awesome. And Juliette Lewis is always a treat. So we'll see how that one turns out. On March the 13th, The Parenting. This comes straight to HBO Max, and they just released the trailer for it the other day, which is crazy. But the cast for this thing is wild. Now, it kind of feels, the vibe of it feels like a silly Sam Raimi ghost story. Kind of scary movie-ish touches here and there. But it's a family that goes on a vacation in an old house that is haunted by a 400-year-old poltergeist. But what's fascinating about this is the tone and the cast. It's directed by the director of Skeleton Twins, which is an underrated Bill Hader movie from back in the day. But not back in the day, but you know what I mean, Redbox. But again, what's fascinating about this is the cast, in that it includes Brian Cox naked walking around with a boner. Edie Falco, Carmela's in this, and Lisa Kudrow's in it as well. Just a weird little cast for a horror movie and a strange tone. I'm into it. Definitely going to watch it March the 13th. Could have a good little horror comedy on our hands. Next up, a week later on March the 20th, we have a movie called Ash. Now this looks cool as shit for sure. It stars Isa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, and the story looks awesome. They crash land, or they wake up on their spaceship. Everyone's been murdered, and Aaron Paul shows up from a different timeline. I don't know what's going on there. The trailer's super mysterious, but really cool looking. It kind of has a color out of space sort of vibe to it, for sure, or Mandy or something like that. The only problem I could see having with this, to be honest with you, because it looks really cool, is the fact that it's directed by a guy who has the gall to call himself Flying Lotus. That's literally their name. Flying Lotus. Is the pretentiousness on that son of a bitch? Also on March the 20th, Bill Skarsgård is back in the horror genre again. Horror thriller genre, I should say. And he's still playing the same character he was in The Crow. Yo, where's my crow, dog? He's walking around the streets trying to break into cars, and he breaks into a car that locks him inside of it, and the voice comes on, and the voice of the guy who owns the car is none other than the great Anthony Hopkins. And we have a phone booth scenario where he uses the different tricks of this car to really fuck with this guy who's trying to steal money from him. And he traps him in the car, and he tortures him in a bevy of ways. And again, very, very phone booth, isolated thriller. I love these kind of movies. And it's by the director of Brightburn, so I'm looking forward to seeing that one for sure. Our final two releases are going to be both wide releases. One is an A24 film called Death of a Unicorn, which has an all-star cast. It's got Paul Rudd in it, it's got Jenna Ortega in it, Will Holt, Tia Leone's in this, and Paul Rudd and his daughter hit a fucking unicorn on the road, but when they bring it back to this rich person's house, the unicorns start murdering people, and it becomes a unicorn slasher film, which sounds fucking awesome as a Paul Rudd led comedy. But we do take all this with a grain of salt, because when you see the little bits of clips of the actual unicorns you see in the trailer, that CGI is rough titty biscuits. It's not great. It's not great. So we'll see. I'm still hoping for something cool. On finally our last movie that we're not hoping for something cool, that I highly doubt it's going to be something cool, we have Woman in the Yard, the latest early in the year Blumhouse release, which are always treats if you like punching yourself in the dick. Woman in the Yard looks like the typical poo release from Blumhouse around this time of the year. The trailer has absolutely nothing in it that doesn't just look like a bad ripoff of what's come before. However, and it's PG-13 of course, but however, it's by the director of 2005's House of Wax remake and Orphan and The Shallows, so it's by a capable director, so I've got my fingers crossed. What movie is that from? Comment down below. Those are all the horror movies coming out this month. Which ones are you most looking forward to? And by the way, YouTube tells me a lot of people who watch this are not subscribed. Now let me tell you what happens when that happens. What happens is you watch this video, go, hey, I look forward to seeing the one that they do in April. Maybe I want to see a live stream. Maybe I want to see the latest horror movie news and movie reviews. But here's what happens. You get depressed one day because it's winter and that shit's hard. And then you just, I got to watch cat videos all day. So you watch a bunch of cat videos all day. And this is how YouTube works. They're going to fill up your feed with nothing but cat videos. They say, he doesn't want to watch shitty movie news anymore. He wants cats. And then they may never show you us again. And then maybe you'll forget we exist. And then we get depressed. And then we get depressed, John. And then what happens to us? We just go away into the nothingness. Don't let us fade into the nothingness. Just take a second and click the subscribe button and the bell so that we stay together. For the kids. And by kids, I mean adults with the emotional maturity level of children. I love your fucking faces. And I hope you guys have a great day. I want you to think about that. You son of a bitch.